Good evening, everybody. It's WildKatt Wednesday, and I'm Stephen Bones. And this evening, I've got a couple of special guests. I've got Sara and Liz, who are actually in my drum circle, and they come just about every time. I don't think they've missed yet, to be fair. But more interestingly, they have experienced the healing power of these drums, and I wanted to bring them on because Kat will tell you all about how the drums work and the power, and I'll validate that. But I think it's good that you hear from a couple of independent people that just came along. I actually invited them over onto my training day as volunteers on one of the days. And so I just want to allow them to explain to you what they experienced, what they felt, what they think the drums do, and it will give you a better insight of what we're about. So Sara and Liz, thanks very much for coming and joining us tonight. And so it's over to you guys, really. The question is could you explain what your experiences were, what you felt and what happened during that particular day and what you've felt since, really?
Okay. Do you want us to go individually or sort of just...
It's up to you, just chat, whichever way you want to do it, yeah.
Well, I think when you started the healing on myself, I had no idea what I was going to experience or what I was going to feel. And obviously we were standing outside and I was just peacefully stood with my eyes closed. And as you went round, I felt a tremendous pulling from the drums, which physically moved me forwards and backwards. So pushing and pulling of energy, which I didn't expect to feel. And also, as you played the drums, I had lots of twitching going on, lots of involuntary moves in my body, which I couldn't explain. And as the session went on, experienced, I suppose, a little bit of traveling, of being aware I was with I felt some sort of native American tribe maybe, and I could actually hear drums, which was, really surprising. Didn't expect to be hearing things and sort of visioning things with my eyes closed. So that was a very new thing for me. Almost wanting to dance at points, with the music. Very relaxing. And I think actually when you finish your session on me, I found it quite hard to come round from being in the zone with the drums. I felt sort of a little bit spaced for quite a while. It took me a while. But I think that evening I slept incredibly well. Yeah. And I was still hearing the drums for probably 2 days afterwards. Wow. I kept thinking, is that drums I can hear? And I could hear the drums.
Yeah.
So you had a similar thing to that, didn't you?
Yeah, and the following morning I heard them too.
Yeah.
So if I can just, before you jump in there, Sara, I think what you're pointing to there, Liz, is the drums take you to an altered state of consciousness. So when we journey into different dimensions, different worlds, we can actually get into an altered state. And some of us find it. I didn't know I could do that till Kat trained me. But now I've sort of joined the dots together. I realised that perhaps in my younger life and at various points through my life that I was hopping in and out without realising it. Yeah. But the interesting thing is these drums very quickly can take you into that space. And it does two things, what you experience. Number one, it will heal what's there to be healed. And you can feel the energy flowing through you. And number two, it also can, because you're in that place, it's like deep meditation. That's the way to describe it. It's so blissful and relaxing, which as you know, is what we try and aim for in the drum circles. We don't necessarily go out to heal in those circles. We just get together and allow people to feel the drums, to just get to that place of relaxation. And if people are suffering with anxiety or stress or depression or whatever, as you know, it can just take you into a different place.
Yeah.
And that in itself creates a healing, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. But it was unexpected. I had no idea what was going to happen, and it was unexpected to feel those things. It was good. It was nice.
Yeah.
Obviously, it did take quite a while for me to come back home.
Yeah. Sort of ground in. Yeah.
Yes, to be grounded again. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. Thanks for that, Cher. Sara?
Yeah, but yeah, similar with Liz. I mean, when we came along to your training day, I mean, that was the first experience I've had with any drums at all. So I didn't know at all what was going to happen. So I just thought, right, just keep an open mind, just go with whatever how the experience takes me. So I remember when you were going around me with the drum, I remember getting up because I think I was first, and I thought, okay, let's see what happens. Kind of not really expecting anything to happen really, or just totally like, ooh, okay, just go with it. And I had my eyes closed, and I could sense you moving around me with the drum, and like Liz, I was twitching, and I could feel the vibration going through my body and the movement coming up through my body. And then I remember you came around me, and you came to a certain point in front of me, and I got this like overwhelming rush of like energy came soaring up my body and nearly knocked me off my feet. And I don't know if it was like a release of some kind of trauma or some sort of emotional block that it released. I just remember I just started crying and had to be led off and sat down. I was in a bit of a state for quite a while, and I just couldn't believe like how intense that feeling was. That kind of, whoa, you got to really like uncontrollable, like whoosh of energy, and it was very intense and very powerful, and had to took a while to come back round again. I got very spaced out for quite a long time after that, like something had been released. Similar to Liz, I can remember the journeying, kind of going off, and I can remember being with a guy in a TP and being tattooed. And at the time, I could remember the tattoo, the design of it. I've forgotten it now. I should have drawn it out to remember. But I could remember this distinctive pattern of this tattoo that he was giving me, and other things that were going on. So again, a bit journeying, and it was very. I felt very peaceful afterwards, and like Liz, slept very well. And I remember walking the next morning with the dogs. I was out walking, and I thought, hang on a minute, I've just heard drums. Surely not. Where's that come from? I'm going mad.
And then I think I saw you, didn't you? I said, I heard the drums again today. And you went, so did I.
It's quite surreal that, and people watching, if I'd have actually said that before, people watching would sort of not quite get it at all. But yes, I sometimes sit here quietly meditating. So I meditate in this room as well. I've got drums all over the wall and around me, and I sometimes hear the drumming when I'm in meditation, and sometimes one will just ping on its own, which is quite interesting as well. I've also seen orbs coming off them when I've been talking to people. Unfortunately, I hadn't got it on record. We were just on Facebook Messenger chatting, and the lady I was talking to saw these orbs flashing across the screen. So it's quite interesting of what comes through these, and this is the difference, as you know, between a normal drum, and I'm not dissing a normal drum. They give a certain amount of frequency and energy coming through them, but these things that Kat puts her Wildkatt energy through are so different and special that it's quite a privilege to be working with them and around them. And it sort of prompted you. You've got your drum in your hand there as well. Is it sort of prompted you to? Yeah, you two wanted to buy your own drums as well, and these are commissioned drums, by the way. Yours needs to come in the picture a bit more, Sara. That's it. There you go. So these are commissioned drums, and what that means is they ask Kat to put a drum together and paint one for them, and they are a bit more expensive than the normal retail drum, but they are pretty special in their own right when they're commissioned like that, and they connect with you straight away. And I find it fascinating that you actually came on holding the drum. Well, had you got yours in your hand as well, Sara?
It was just next to me. Yeah,
and it's interesting because out of all the drums, this is Pink Pixie, which she's fairly new, and I'm having a real connection with her out of all of them, even the ones that I've been with for quite a while. And that's a Master Healing drum, and there's one or two on the wall behind me that are Master Healing drums as well. But for whatever reason, at this moment in time, she's wanting to connect with me more. And how I know that is she'll just, as I meditate, she'll pop up that, and I'd sometimes, like this morning, I'll get this intuition to hold her. And when I held her this morning, I didn't have to play her. I just held her as I was doing a meditation practice. And again, I went off somewhere into an altered state, and I know there was something going on, and I got extremely hot as well. And my body temperature just rose. And when it does that, I know that there's a healing going through. And funnily enough, my body temperature is rising again now as I'm naming it. So I don't know if that's tapping into the energy this morning or it's because I've just picked her up, but it doesn't matter. But these are the things that on a workshop day that we do as well, is we teach people how to connect to the drum and how you create that connection, and you know you've got that connection. And the interesting thing is if you move on, like I've got a team here, and on that day, if you remember, I was being trained to allow my intuition to tell me which drum to work with each individual. And the incredible thing, if you remember, Julie at the end of it, who's my wife for anybody that doesn't know, she sat in a chair. Kat got her to sit in a chair for the next part of my training, and I think you guys were on that day, or I can't remember if it was the other day, but every time a drum, I was going through all the drums and they wouldn't play, and then eventually I got to the right drum. So they were having a bit of fun with me. It was like that drum, and I was taking that drum and it wouldn't play, and then eventually we got to, and they were teaching me how to trust that intuition of what comes in. And as you know, on drum circles as well, we ask people what drum they would like to hear played around them for that blissful experience, and they all pick their own drums. So quite incredible pieces of equipment and tools and facilitators of healing, and that's what they are. And I'm just so fortunate that I'm in that position to be able to facilitate the healing through these drums and take them to people and work with them, and that's what it's about. So if you're not interested in a workshop, you can message me. I do healing sessions as well if you want to experience them. And these guys, you've heard from them of what how interesting the experiences are, but it doesn't mean to say that you'll have the same experience. I always explain to people, you guys came in with no expectation at all, and the danger is sometimes when people hear others talk about what experience they've had, they come in with that preconception that that's what's going to happen, and they can actually block the energy of the drums coming in then. So it's quite important that anybody that does approach us, we've got Derby Mind Body Spirit this weekend as well, and people may be able to experience a little bit there, a taster session of those. And the best thing to do is come in with no expectations. So, yeah,
and
thanks.
Come to the drum circle because the energy in the room is amazing when everybody is playing the drum. You get a chance to sit in the middle, don't you? And everybody drum around you. And we've seen orbs and all sorts of things go on in the drumming circle night. So
and that's another thing now. Yeah, now you brought that up, perhaps you can validate when we're playing the drums. There's some sort of higher frequency can sometimes go on and coming from a different corner of the room, and we're all looking at each other as we're playing, like, can you hear that?
Yeah, do you hear that? Yeah, I heard that.
And I've seen orbs in drumming circle. I've seen orbs behind you.
Yes.
Lights and all sorts of things. Yeah,
it's quite fascinating, isn't it?
It's lovely. It's really a good experience.
A nice experience. It's a good experience.
Yeah, there are, and sometimes that's why I wanted to invite you guys on, so that people could hear other people that have just walked in and experienced these drums, and it's taken you into, if I'm not wrong, it's taken you into another rabbit hole of sound and drumming and what it's about and everything else. So and it takes you on another journey as a modality of healing, which is quite interesting.
Very interesting.
It's lovely just to sit by yourself and just play your drum, even just holding it, like you said earlier, but sitting and just playing it for a while. It's just the sound goes through you.
It's calming.
It is calming.
Very calming.
Yeah.
Just walk around the house just gently drumming, and it's just like, ooh, that feels better.
And that, like Pixie here, I've never, for whatever reason it is, and I've got an idea of what it is. It doesn't particularly matter, but I'm drawn to her more than I've been at any other drum. It's like she's like pulling on me all the time, and every time I look at her face and in her eyes, there's a draw there, which is quite interesting. And that's the same thing with the drums we have at the shows for retail. People will get drawn to a drum, and Kat always maintains that when WildKatt comes through and she paints these drums and the energy comes through them, she's painting them for an individual that's out there and they don't know it yet, which is even more fascinating. And I see people come in the shows and they get locked on, and they keep coming past, and they just end up either buying the drum or they listen to that voice inside that tells them not to, and they resist it. But I know they'll come back again. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
So thanks for that, guys. Appreciate it. And lovely to see you, and we'll see you at the end of the month. If anybody's interested in the drum circle, you can message me or just put a comment in Facebook here. Just put yes and I'll contact you, or you can message me, or you just look at my Facebook page and there's contact details on there as well. So thanks everybody for listening, and if you're listening after this event and to the recording, you'll find this quite a fascinating conversation, I'm sure. So thanks again, guys. Lovely to see you.
Good evening. Bye.
Bye.